Hello everybody, welcome to the Kuchi-e Gallery YouTube channel. This is going to be package opening video number 6 and I'm going to jump right into it. Today we have two packages that I'm going to be opening. Both are prints by the same artist, one of the most popular and well-known artists, and which I'm sure most of you, if you're interested in Kuchi-e, will agree that this artist tends to get the most highest dollar amounts for their prints. They tend to get the most appreciation, let's say, especially in Japan, where I understand the prices in Japan for this artist are much higher. Although they're high everywhere for this particular artist. And I, of course, am always looking to buy prints by this artist. Who we'll just say right now, this artist is Kaburaki Kiyokata, and his prints are always difficult to find for reasonable prices. So whenever I find them for reasonable prices, I definitely try to buy them, but it kind of depends on the design. Some designs are, some designs are better than others, obviously, and some are more available, let's say. So there's a much wider range of availability. So those prints that are readily available, I might choose not to buy. Okay, this is the print that we're going to be looking at. And I'll put this on here for display purposes. This is a really beautiful design. I do have a second copy. This is I do have a first copy. This is the second copy of this print for me. And this is, again, a print by Kaburaki Kiyokata. You can see the signature is here on the side in this print at the very bottom. And it features three beauties who are clearly discussing something, or they're dressed in finery. So I'm assuming they're going to some kind of an event, or maybe a New Year's party or something like that. But just a beautiful print. Really bright colors. I would say for Kaburaki Kiyokata, this is probably the print that has the brightest color scheme that I've noticed. That large yellow, the large block of yellow in the background is it's just very, like, it demands your attention. You see it, you're just like, wow, that's really bright. Kiyokata was known actually for subtlety, I think, and if you look at his prints, typically there's more of a subtleness. I mean, some of his prints, they kind of look like watercolors, honestly. They're so subtle in the way that they were printed without the large black lines around the outside. Some of them have hardly any black lines, so it's kind of amazing how watercolory some of these prints look. And this is the thing about Kuchi-e that I also find really amazing, is that these prints, when they were published, they were made at such a high level by such high quality printers, high quality craftsmen, that the quality of these designs is very, very high end. And so they were able to achieve almost high fine art quality with some of the prints looking like watercolors, which I think is amazing. And there's very few, if any, other prints of any other genres. Like ukiyo-e had hardly any of those. There was probably a few examples. As they got closer and closer to this era of printing, the Kuchi-e era, which was like 1890 to 1915, it was probably the most advanced sort of printing that they had ever been able to create at that point. And I feel like those designs have more of that watercolory effect. There were a few, like by Kiyochika. And Kiyochika was kind of like the forerunner of this. I feel like he was the forerunner of Shinhanga prints as well, but he did some of those prints that had kind of a watercolor quality effect as well. But this design is just beautiful. It's not in perfect condition. The other one I have is in perfect condition. Unfortunately, it's in storage right now. I tried to find it so I could show a comparison, but in any event, it's not in perfect condition. It does have blind stamping. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but there's like blind stamping along the entire border here. So it gives like a kind of a miniature waffle pattern or a checker pattern. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like right on the edge here. There's not a ton of other special effects. The hair has some bokashi and some um, burnishing, which is where you get that kind of shiny black like outline that shows up in the hair sometimes. I'm not actually sure of there is a name for that. I'm not sure if it's shomanzuri. It might be shomanzuri, but I'm not 100%. So there's also burnishing on the side right here. So there's like a glossiness on this side. You can see there's a burnishing here in this robe as well, and there's burnishing in the hair for all of the women. But just a beautiful print. A little bit rough around the edges. As you can see, it was mounted to an album at some point, which was or a print, or was framed. Something was done where it actually took off part of this decorative whatever this was up here. So not in ideal perfect condition, but still beautiful, and not an easy print to find. This is only the second time, or maybe the third time I've ever seen it available for sale. And so I just grabbed it up because I haven't seen it that often. Like I said, this is only the second time I've seen it for sale when I've been available to purchase it. So anyway, this one's not perfect. I have one that is perfect, but this is still beautiful design and rare and unusual and hard to find. So yeah, I think it's beautiful, and I wish the condition was perfect, but it isn't. So, you know, we always have to take a little bit of, lesser quality prints sometimes if you're trying to get a design that's rare. This design, it's not rare, like obviously I've seen it for sale before, but it's not common. I couldn't go out and find this tomorrow. So yeah, so anyway, this is the first print we're going to do today. The second print is also by Kiyokata, and I will get on that in just a second. But both of these prints today are very nice. This one is the lesser of the two quality-wise, and hopefully the other one is in the condition that it seemed like it was in, which I think it is, although I did purchase it from an American gallery. This one was purchased from a Japanese gallery. This print here, which I don't know the title. I do want to show that this print is usually in the books about Kuchi-e. So the books about Kuchi-e, as you can see, the print is right here. It's in the compendium books I've found, it's in both of the books. So it was one of the known designs and fairly popular, at least enough to represent in the book. So so there you have that. It's a nice shot of that. And now we'll move on to the second print. This one came from Fuji Arts. Fuji Arts is a United States gallery, which I've mentioned before. They carry a large amount of prints, and they oftentimes have sales and good deals. As I stated, they sometimes carry prints where the condition can be iffy, but their prices are commensurate, which I think is nice. So if you're looking for, sorry, let me zoom that out. If you're looking for prints that are reasonably priced, they often have sales. They often offer things at good prices. Excuse me for a second. This is not easy to get these out of this container. They do a fantastic job with packing, which I mentioned before. So because of that, they're kind of hard to get out of these cardboard containers they put them in. So let me go ahead and cut this open. This design, I believe I got, was an error in pricing. I was just checking their website. I wasn't really looking to buy anything, actually. And I just noticed this print was priced like well below what it should have been priced. And so I just snapped it up, thinking that somebody probably made a mistake. It is, oh, that's interesting. Actually, so this is, see, you learn something new every day. That's so interesting. So this print is actually much smaller than I thought it was. So maybe that is why don't get me wrong, it's typically never the price this was being sold for, so I don't know why it would make a difference. But I was imagining this print to be a regular 8.5 by 11 size Kuchi-e print, but it isn't. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so here it is. Definitely smaller than I was thinking. I thought it was full size, which it's not. But I've seen it several times for sale. But as you can see, stylistically, it looks exactly like the other prints that we would normally find that are Kuchi-e. Let me zoom in on that so people can see a better image of it. But as you can see, it's a beautiful design. It's a very early Kiyokata design, one of the first few designs from what I recall. And it is typically in all the books as well. It's a very well-known design. Even though it's fairly early for him, like in 1903, 1902, 3, 4, like right in there. And it's typically known to show up in the books too. I don't have that particular book in my hand right at this moment, but it's one of his earlier designs. So, it's going to be 1902, 3, 4 right in there. And yeah, it's actually a beautiful design. It's got very nice details. So you have an inset of the heart here with a beauty or female character looking a little forlornly. And then you have another beauty here, which is interesting. She looks like she's off on a trek or she's going someplace, dressed up in a beautiful kimono. Nice details in the hair, and just generally a very beautiful print. Very well done. You have bokashi here in the lower foliage where they have the shading going up. And then on the back here, we have beautiful bleed through. This print is actually in fairly decent condition. I would say close to fine condition. A few little minor things, but overall, basically in excellent condition. Bleed through coming through nicely. Not backed, which is always a plus. You can see the original fold lines are still present. And yeah, overall just a very beautiful design. And lovely. I'm glad to have it. I didn't have this in my collection. This is the first copy of this design in my collection. And I like to collect the earlier prints, these Kiyokata designs that are, 1901, 2, 3. That was the first few years he was active in making woodblock frontispieces. And so when he was making these, I'm sure the numbers were less. Excuse me, I want to take a drink real quick. He was popular. I can't remember the name right now, but he was popular with one particular publisher and one particular publishing company. I don't know if he was related to somebody who was in publishing, but he did a lot of books by the author Kyoka Izumi. And so he's known to have a lot of Kyoka Izumi like frontispieces, and it's kind of like a double whammy price-wise. So Kaburaki Kiyokata was one of the most popular, if not the most popular artist of this period. And then Kyoka Izumi is one of the most desirable authors of the period. And so that combination of like the best artist with the most popular author makes the books that have his prints in like amazing condition the most expensive pieces to buy. So yeah, so it makes it troubling. Some of the books are well over $1,000 if they have a book in good condition with the slipcase, and then the print is in nice condition, and it's just like I said, it's like a perfect storm for getting a high value sale price. So anyway, now I did look recently, and Kiyokata had made during his lifetime of Kuchi-e anyway, roughly, between 280 and 300 plus designs. So there's a lot of imagery out there to collect by Kiyokata, but they do not come up that often. And it seems like you tend to see the same images crop up kind of over and over and over. I don't know if I have any of his more common images in this book here. Let me see if I do. But there just are some designs that just crop up over and over and over again. I don't know why those seem to be published so much more, but they just do for whatever reason. I don't know if the books had a larger publishing, a larger publishing number. So maybe they were done 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 copies, and so they're more available. This print right here in this book here, this is very common. I believe it's from a series of 3 or 4 books, and I think 3 books, maybe 5 books. I don't know. It's from a series, and you find this print available quite often. It is a lovely print. as well, and it has the typical nuances like the hair clip and the things that Kiyokata was known for. He was known for the fashion, making sure that the fashion of the day was evident in his prints, making sure he had these kind of Art Nouveau kind of hair combs, and he just was very good about including these subtle details. He was kind of like the Hirosada. So there's an artist that did Osaka-e ukiyo-e prints of actors primarily. His name was Konishi Hirosada. And Hirosada was known, like the thing that made him famous was he would do these prints, but in the prints, as opposed to other previous artists, he would put something that was like a blown up version, so like an up close version of whatever the key thing was in the actor's, like when the actor was on stage, the actor would be holding, let's say, a knife with a specific kind of like scabbard, or he would be holding a little flag, or he'd be holding a lantern or whatever. And those would be the things that would always appear in Hirosada's prints. And so that's what made Hirosada famous. He would do these okubiye up close, kind of like this, up close bust portrait size prints, but he would have something. So if this was a Hirosada and it was about a particular play, in the play there would be a woman who was drawing or looking in a mirror or whatever, and that would be the thing that he was relating to the print. I think Kiyokata did this as well, but he did it with fashion. So Kiyokata was kind of really good about relating the fashion of the day into the prints he designed, and I think that was his claim to fame. He also did beautiful faces. He was known for making soft, beautiful, he was really good at doing worried looks. So women that were kind of in distress, let's say, emotional distress, stuff like that. So yeah, but you typically see these. So this kind of print you would come up over and over and over again, whereas these other two designs that I just showed you today, they do not come up as often. They do come up. This one particularly does come up. It's usually in the 300 to plus range, let's say. And the other one comes up far less often. In the condition I bought it in, it's not worth a ton, maybe a couple $100 even. But if you get it in great condition, it could be $400 or $500, especially if it comes with the book. This one, I don't know if I've seen this one in the book, the one right here in my hand actually. So I'm not sure, but it is an absolutely beautiful design. I'm very happy to have it in my collection. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I do have another large package coming, so I'll have a longer video coming up in the next few weeks or a month, and a couple of smaller packages, and then I'm going to do a video about one of my favorite artists, and that may happen first actually. So I'm going to basically start doing, I believe that I have enough prints by some lesser known artists that I think I could do an interesting video about, talking about the artist, although some of these artists are so kind of not very well known that I have very little information to talk about them. But I can at least show their designs, talk about why I think they're beautiful, the thing I think they brought to, to the genre, like what they did that kind of benefited it. It's kind of amazing to me how many lesser known artists there are in the Kuchi-e genre of woodblock prints that they're just kind of unknown. And I don't know what the print runs were like on some of these books for these lesser known people, but some of the quality is just unbelievably amazing. So, I mean, they clearly had backing. People clearly liked their art. They put a ton of energy and effort into making these designs so that they were beautiful, so that they had the nice elements and the higher end printing, but they're almost unknown. As a matter of fact, there are two primary books that have come out that have like a large number of Kuchi-e inside. Let me just put this away and then I'll talk about this very briefly. But they have a large number of Kuchi-e, like an inventory of prints. One of them, I mean, they have over 1,000 designs visible. So to anybody who's a collector that doesn't have these books, you should definitely get them because while the designs are quite small, this is one of the books here. They cost like $50 or $60 if you buy them overseas anyway. And they have these like small images. Now these are not large, and so you're not going to get a ton of details from these prints from looking at them, but they're just a great reference. You can look at it and say, oh, that's not, Kinsen Suzuki, it's someone else, or, there's so many benefits to this. But anyway, there are two versions of this book here. And you can see that, that the first edition of this book covered a lot of the mainstream artists, and it didn't include the lesser artists. Here's a good example right here. This artist here is one of my favorite artists, and this is his name is Munakata Sudo. This artist right here on the left, and you know, he's known for these designs, but when the book came out, the first edition of this book came out, it only had this single print in the top corner right here. Now you can see they've added a bunch of additional prints. They've added like, you know, 12 or 15 prints, and it goes all the way to here. So, you know, it definitely does a good job of covering some of these lesser known artists, which the first edition didn't. So if you happen to get the first edition of this book and you think, oh, I don't need the second one because it's just the same thing like in a revised edition, it is revised, and it's very revised. Firstly, the pictures are larger, and secondly, it features artists like this artist right here, another one of those rare artists. You know, these prints are not common. I have seen very few of these for sale. I happen to have a few of them. But I didn't even see them when I bought them. I actually bought them I bought an album where I only got to see 5 images from the 50 prints in the album. And I was just lucky that some of these were included in there. The condition on those prints was not ideal, but I've never seen any of them for sale. So it's kind of like a rarity versus quality situation. Are they perfect? No, they're not perfect. Would I buy it again? I would definitely buy it again, because some of those designs I have never seen available since then. The designs in this book are lovely, but you can see just by looking at these artists how beautiful the prints are by this artist. I mean, this guy was amazing, and I love his prints. So anyway, I have a few of those artists, so I'm going to try and do some selective videos about them, just kind of telling people, you know, like the story of these artists for what I know, because I don't think they're going to get recognition in any other way. Anyway, that's it. You know, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. I'm going to try and put out content semi-regularly as much as possible. And that's it. I hope everybody has a great day. Take care.